Educating your daughters, but then not allowing them to make their own choices is not women empowerment. Educating them, raising them, putting them in institutions where they learn to develop their voice and make it more powerful, backed by knowledge, backed by experience, and then not listening to them is not women empowerment. No matter what's your relationship to that woman, no matter what's your place in that woman's life, but thinking that you know better about her path, her choices, her boundaries, and trying to meddle in her life, trying to push her to make choices that are not aligned with her higher self, trying to push her to meet people who she doesn't want to meet is not women's empowerment. I've had this debate with so many people who think that women are already fully empowered, as if we do not need feminism anymore, as if we do not need to speak up for women's rights anymore. And someone who has not lived the experience of being a woman in this society, doesn't matter if you are in India or outside abroad, someone who has not lived our reality just cannot speak on it because they do not know the nuances, they do not know the subtleties, the ways in which we are still disempowered, the ways in which people still do not respect our boundaries, the ways in which people still make us feel like we are lesser than them or lesser in any way, the way that they still feel like we are powerless, or they try to make us feel like we are powerless, and they make assumptions based on the fact that they think that we feel that we are powerless when we are not. So I have lived in Canada for the last 6 years, 6.5 years, and I came back to India last year in July. And in Canada, I lived a life where I was fairly independent. People did not meddle in my life, did not make any assumptions about me. But still, there were a few incidents here and there where they did do all of these things, but in very subtle ways that still shows how backward the society is still when it comes to empowering women and seeing them as people with boundaries and values and intelligence. I've grown up in India, so I know like what kind of society we live in here, and it's not good for us, for women. We already know that. But after living in Canada for 6.5 years and being in a certain type of society and mindset myself, and then getting used to it, and then coming back and being able to see a stark contrast, being able to see things that I hadn't noticed before. And now I notice them very, very clearly, and it's just intolerable for me. People just continue to assume things based on what they think the value of a woman is. For example, they just assume that after marriage you're gonna have kids, and since we've been married for 8 years and haven't had a child, they suddenly just assume that we are desperately wanting to have a child and there is something wrong with us, and then they start offering all these solutions that I never even asked for or even mentioned in the first place. And then there is this ridiculous assumption that I am not married yet because I do not wear a sindoor or bichiya or mangalsutra or any kind of markers of a woman who is married out in the society. People just assume that I am unmarried, and it has happened way too many times in the past 6 months that someone new came inside the house to visit my in-laws, and they thought that I am their daughter, and they asked like how old am I. First of all, they asked me like which class do you study in because I look very young. They think that I'm a schoolgirl. And when I tell them that I am a master's in prosthodontics, I have already completed my studies, what, like 10 years ago? And I've been married, and that I am 33 years old. Now, I don't lead with the fact that, I'm already married because that does not define me. Like, that is not my introduction that, hey, hello, my name is Rio and I'm married. That is not my introduction, right? So I And also because I want to see like what do they say next. So first of all, if they assume that I'm extremely young, I try to remove that. So I tell them my age, that I'm 33 already. And the next thing they assume about me is that I'm unmarried. So they start offering me rishtas on the spot. Like, what makes them assume that even if I'm unmarried, that I want to get married and that I am under so much stress and I'm so desperate to get married. Please rishta me ASAP, you know? Like, where did I even mention in the few minutes of our conversation that I want to get married ASAP, that you start doling out rishtas in front of me like that? Like, that is so inappropriate. So inappropriate. And when I tell them that I'm already married, of course, the next thing that comes up is kids. Like, why don't you have kids? Like, is there a problem? Shall I talk to a doctor? Shall I book an appointment for you right now? And it's even worse when they get to know that I'm a doctor, that I have a master's in prosthodontics. Why don't you work? Why don't you go to a clinic? Why don't you have your own clinic? Why don't you work in the university as a professor? Why don't you start giving tuition to first year BDS? Like, what are you doing? Why don't you open your YouTube channel teaching dentistry? What are you doing with your life? Like, why are you not living the life that is comfortable for everyone to look at? How dare you live the life that you find comfortable? What even is wrong with you? Let me find out what is wrong with you and try to give you the solutions. Because, hey, look at me, I'm a successful member of the society who has checked all the boxes that are expected of me. And now I want to help all the other people who do not have it all together, who I think, in my eyes, do not have it all together. If you guys know my story, like, me and my husband, we are hated by every single person except a few, and we've cut contact with all of them. And that is because we are very strong on our values. We do not take any abuse, we do not take any violation of our boundaries. And that is unheard of in this Indian society. And there is something that I heard recently that blew my mind off. Somebody told us, now again, once again, that is also an assumption they made, but it was so bang on. Somebody told us that people in Indian society do not love you too, even though you are such good people, and that is because you are not having kids. Imagine that. Imagine that. Imagine that. What does having kids have to do with respecting, loving the other person? Like basic respect. Like, what does it have to do with having kids? And so, does it mean that if this year we do have a kid, you will suddenly start respecting and loving us 100% unconditionally? You will suddenly stop abusing us? Will you? I do not think so. Excuse me, but I am not going to give birth to a child and keep him in this kind of society. And if you want something like a child or a traditional 9 to 5 job for you to respect me, I do not need your respect. I've developed myself to be a global citizen, but right now and for the foreseeable future, I'm going to stay in India and I'm going to build my life here absolutely in alignment with my values. And I'm going to do it regardless of what you think about me, regardless of how you judge me or make assumptions of me. Those things are not going to define my happiness because it is not dependent on those things. My happiness comes from within me. I already know unconditional love. I love my husband like anything. His love is the greatest love that I've ever known. Plus, the love that I have received from the divine, the enlightenment experience I had, I experienced ultimate unconditional love during that experience. I do not need something external like a job or even a child to make me feel that way. And that is not the reason that I'm going to have a child in the first place. Do you know why there are things that are still going bad in my life, that are still abusive? There are people around me that have access to me that are still abusive. Do you know why that is? and I have not been able to realize my full potential. I have lost my light to a large extent. I am 33. I was full of light when I was 25. I was full of vigor. I had such big dreams that I knew that I was going to fulfill with the support of my parents, but that never happened. And probably never will in the way that I wanted at that time. It's another thing that the way that it is going to happen is way better than what I had planned, but that's not the point. The point is that people have been so abusive to me, and all of those things that it did to me is completely normalized in this society. I live in a place where women die left and right from domestic abuse, and their parents just take 5 lakh rupees and get her younger sister married off, and they completely forget about that woman, because who is she, what value does she have currently in my life? The point that I was going to make initially with this sentence is that currently everything wrong in my life is only because of the fact that people have not listened to me. I've told them that I do not want to do this. I do not want this person in my life. I want to do this exactly this way. And they did not listen to me. Why? Because they thought they know better than me about my own life, about my own relationships, about my own boundaries and values. The so called elders, many of them have this great ego where they think that they know better than the person who is going through something. And they are so wrong there. What is actually required is that they put forward their concerns, they put forward their ideas even with the person who is going through something, and discuss that, is this the way you want to go forward? Why? Okay, I understand your reasons. Okay, I will not meddle if you think that this is the right way. All right, that may happen in the case of a guy, but not never in the case of a woman. And so even after coming back from Canada, I am having to undo all that damage, and while undoing all that damage, I'm still going through more damage in order to undo those mistakes, those steps that I took out of my alignment because other people did not listen to me and did not take well to me taking those steps. Now, I know there are many people in the comments who are going to go like, if you are so happy internally, why are you coming on YouTube and posting this rant video, being so angry about women empowerment, blah 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 blah. And the reason for my posting this video is because this is self-expression. My YouTube, my Instagram, my books that I write, my posts that I make on threads, all of those things are my self-expression. I'm a writer and I'm also a teacher by my design. Like, that is how God has designed me. And if I'm not expressing myself truly, then I'm doing a disservice not only to myself but to this world as well. So while making this video, I sure am speaking with a very powerful voice because my throat chakra is wide open today, but there is no anger inside me. This is me being very passionate about what I'm speaking about here today. And if you haven't seen someone being this passionate about something in the past, what are you even doing? Like, in what corner of YouTube have you been? So, are women really empowered today? Just ask yourself if you are a man. Just ask any woman in your life this one question: are you fully empowered today? And she's going to give you a list of reasons why she is not. And then I want you to do your best to tick off everything on that list. And only then consider that woman fully empowered for the time being, because I know something else is gonna come up the next month. Have a wonderful rest of your day.